Donna, are we ready? Right there. Good evening. My name is Helen Anthony, Chair of the Committee on Finance. I'm calling to order our regular meeting on Wednesday, May 22nd at 5:33 p.m. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chairwoman Anthony,
Present.
Vice Chairman Taylor,
Here.
Councilor Underwood,
Here.
Councilwoman Graves,
Here.
Councilor Sanchez,
Here.
Vice President Anthony, have a quorum.
I would like to recognize Councilor Vargas for joining us this evening. Thank you very much. Also, I would like to thank Ken Chabarini from the City Solicitor's Office. We have Laura Gutierrez and Donna Collegian with us tonight. Thank you so much for all your service. We've got Aaron Easter Gardner this year as our Director of Policy. We have so many other distinguished guests. Thank you all for coming. So noted. Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please read item number 1?
Item 1, an ordinance establishing a status stabilization plan for the property located at 136 West 95th Street.
Okay, and who do we have here this evening to answer any questions? Thank you, please approach.
My client Bob Worley, if I need to call Bob up, I will, I think I can probably answer this. Yeah, I support that.
And did you ever try to vote? I don't think we need to swear on that.
We typically,
Do we?
I think he's here. I think you can do whatever you want. You've done it either way.
Switch it on us, we'll swear.
To swear and defend the authority that the lawyer about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I know we did have a presentation by the applicant in our public hearing. Is there anything you would like to say this evening?
I'm here to really answer the questions. The only thing I didn't want to address this evening is I have been throughout my remarks and presentations on TSA in general, talking about how the effective tax rate on the 10-year TSA in Providence is slightly higher than Boston's standard rate. It has since come to my attention that I had incorrect information on that. So I had that the Boston rate was $25 per thousand. And the effective tax rate on a 10-year TSA in Providence was 25 and change. That is for the commercial tax rate in Boston. Multifamily residential in Boston is taxed at the residential rate, which is $10 per thousand. So the effective tax rate of a 10-year TSA in Providence is actually, I believe that it's 150% higher than the non-reduced rate for multifamily housing in Boston. So the Providence rate is actually significantly higher than I even understood relative to the Boston rate. I wanted to correct the record on that front. And that's the only thing I wanted to adjust based on previous presentation.
Okay. All right. Yes,
Question on that?
yes. Go ahead, Councilor Sanchez.
Hey, Dylan, thank you. What's so here in Providence, more than 6 units considered commercial. What is that in Boston?
It's just the use. So I understand it to be, if the commercial square footage in the building will be taxed commercially, if it's a mixed use building, but the residential use will just tax at a residential rate.
Oh, nice.
Now, I'm not nearly as familiar with Boston tax code as I am in Providence, so I would request that you hear that with a bit of a grain of salt. But based on the information I've received between my last presentation and now, the multifamily residential apartment structures are all taxed at the residential rate, which is $10 per thousand.
So like a building has 100 housing apartments, that pays the $10 per thousand.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Just quickly, I know you probably said this in the presentation, but I don't know. How long, is there anything in that building right now?
There's the Christian Science Reading Room, that's the only present occupant. Tommy's Pizza has closed. Franklin Rogers,
He closed
they
I'm on
closed.
my last Super Bowl. It closed down. I'm like, I'm not wearing, I'm just gonna keep it as a question like now. So.
All the office above has been vacant for some time now. The type of office it is not in demand really at all. I think we've really seen a pretty strong collapse for that sort of office, that's in the office rental product in downtown Providence. So there's nothing there. There are structural issues, I believe. Kevin gave a more detailed presentation on that last week.
So they can total, what do you think, 5 years, 3 years?
Largely vacant for.
Not considering Franklin Rodgers, they just closed.
Yeah, what is the?
Excuse me, can we have you please, come up, be sworn in and introduce yourself?
Yes.
Sure.
Please
I'm
raise
Bob.
your right hand.
Okay,
Please
and,
raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
would you like to respond to Councilor Taylor's question?
Sure, the main tenant was the accounting firm on the 3rd floor, and they moved out, and their lease expired. And, I think they had been trying to lease that space along with others for more than 5 years. And not that one, for 5 years, but other vacant spaces, I think of them for lease for a long period of time.
So there's been a lot of, in that place has been 5 years or more vacant.
Some spaces, I believe so.
When did that lease run up for that person?
So they were starting to lease it 2 years ago. They didn't get anybody to take the space over. I think the actual lease expired. I don't know the exact date, but I think it was like last summer. Maybe longer than that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Questions, other questions? Well, I think that we, have been very pleased with the presentations by your client, on this project. I think we've run through the financials, in the model, very early on. I thought that was really helpful to show that, before the help with the TSA, this project is not financially viable. And so, certainly with the other requirements, I'm sure that, we don't, of course, have to meet the other requirements, in the TSA ordinance. But I, have been, convinced that this is a necessary PSA. Also, the fact that it's a historic building and, that it's really, necessary for I think, for the vibrancy of Westminster Street. And so I am just gonna say I have been, favorably inclined on this.
On that, I would like to make a motion to approve.
Motion was seconded. Second. A motion to approve made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Anderbach. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No,
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please read item number 2.
Item 2, an ordinance establishing a tax stabilization plan for the property located at 1836 Westminster Street.
Thank you. Please join us. Thank you for coming again. We will swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you.
Please state your name for the record.
Eric Army.
Mr. Army, thank you so much. I know you did a very thorough presentation at our public meeting. Is there anything you would like to add or recap for us with regard to the project?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to present this to you guys. I'm happy to sort of reiterate sort of any points that were sort of if there are questions you have on that one, but we're excited to try to take the next step to move forward with that. I think this corner is only the west side and the valley.
Okay, yes.
I've got one quick question. What do you think of Oscar Vargas? No, I'm kidding. No, seriously, there is some affordable in this, correct?
There is,
And how much was that?
4 units.
Out of how many?
4 of the 12.
Of the 12. Thank you.
And there is 1 commercial space, so but 4 of the 12.
Okay. You don't have to answer the council. Wicked. No, that's not here.
Oscar has been a very helpful partner.
That's good.
A number of things.
Councilor Vargas, do you have anything to say with regard to this?
Yes, I'm very, happy that we can get this project going on, moving forward, and it's like with little help from the city and the taxpayers to move forward with this type of property so we can create housing and beautify the area. Because this building has been empty for a long time. So it's time to start moving forward and get out the box. Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Graves.
My only question or observation is, I see you decided to go with the sixes, because you had a 5-year and a 6-year thing last year, right? I was last year, I wish it was last year.
Yeah, I think the administrative program that I was looking at before was the 5-year, back with Councilor Vargas. I think it's, again, you guys might have the details, and it's better that you could put it in 5 and you can ask for the 6.
Right.
With the modeling, that would give us the helpful edge to it.
You want to-
Sure, no,
You're busy nodding heads off.
yeah, the point was that 5 years wasn't enough, so we need an extra year to complete and go forward. And we decide to work on the 6.
And I might just ask our policy director
Yep.
if there is, if the 5-year versus 6-year, the 6-year TSA.
6 years fine, within the ordinance, it's up to the council discretion to add an extra year to any restricted. So that's totally possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Makes
Okay,
you feel better. We did apply more than a year ago. If you're looking for some consideration, but yeah.
okay.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve number 2.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Sanchez. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to see.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Okay, Madam Clerk. If you would please read item number 3.
Item 3, communication from Major Brett Smiley dated April 15, 2024. Submitted a tentative agreement by and between the city of Providence and Providence number 3 fraternal order of Providence for a period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2028.
Okay, and who do we have here this evening to present on this? We have a big team tonight. Okay, we'll swear you all in, when you get yourself sorted out.
Please raise your right hands. You swear on the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
And please state your name and your titles for the record.
After Perez, Chief of Police for the City of Providence.
Always your chief human resource officer. Jeffrey Dan, City Solicitor, for the City of Providence.
Thank you all for coming.
Wisdom,
Feel like we've seen a lot of good
Yes.
people, and we appreciate your time.
Likewise. See you all.
So I think we did have, certainly we appreciate your presentation. I know we had a few questions. I hope people have remembered some of the outstanding questions we had. But so is there a presentation you'd like to make tonight?
I'd like to start by saying that again, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to present about the tentative agreement between the Providence Police, the FOP, and the City of Providence for the new 5-year contract. I think it's very completed. I think it took a while. I want to thank the president of the union for actually and the members of the executive board for assisting us. There will be definitely some critical investments in Providence. One will be the police force. We invest in a great police department, the city's capital police, also an improvement on how we manage our police department, and also ensuring to improve the health of the pension system. Those are critical things that I think that actually we had a chance to read it. If I may continue on some of the things that I think are important to highlight is the fact that the members of the police department will now be contributing 16% towards the pension and the health of the pension. We're actually going to be providing our officers with competitive salaries when it comes to other municipalities. We're the largest. We deal with the most amount of work in the state. And I think it's important for our officers to know that they're going to be compensated in a competitive manner. You think about all the municipalities,
around the state that get along more. The number is 16 right now on the list, at the bottom of the list, the largest and the lowest paid. Also, one of the important things is the flexibility for our lieutenants, our commanders to be able to manage staffing properly. We also help with minimum manning and the health of our officers. And the last thing is we're going to be able to modernize our promotional process. Something in the last 30 years that I've been on the force has been talks and communications as far as how do we change the testing process. There's a lot of police officers that have retired that could have been great leaders in this department. And we were testing just based on knowledge, testing and seniority. That's how we promoted in the past. With this new hybrid system, we're going to be able to provide officers a chance to study academically, score a number, but then also come in front of an independent panel and explain leadership skills, critical thinking, compassion, empathy, skills that are necessary to be a good leader, a good supervisor, especially in urban inner city police. And so that's some of the highlights that I know for a fact are critical. The members of the department right now are pretty excited, happy, morale is up. I think I know the union met with the body, and they were pretty excited about this. They feel appreciated. As you know, the summer's coming, and I think that it's good to get to work and knowing that you're appreciated by the city and the government of the city. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to make any kind of presentation? Okay, we're all here to answer questions. Yes, Councilor Graves.
Well, not a question. I just wanna, say that I read through all your stuff. I have listened to your presentation. I think it is phenomenal. I think you thought of everything. The fact that the union and you guys, the administration, everybody are in lockstep is a really good thing, because there have been times when I was like, okay, are they all gonna just fight with one another? You know, I did notice that there has been a lot of shooting lately, which means that the heat is here. Something's coming, and I think some of this will help in that regard. So kudos to you, Chief. I think you're doing an excellent job, and I really think it was a well thought out plan that you put before us.
Thank you, Councilwoman. It's appreciated very much.
Questions? Yes, Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Chief. My only question is, with this raise to 16% of the pension contribution, is that the highest out of any department in the city of Providence?
So we are actually coming up as number 2, the 2 highest. So the highest paid is Warwick right now, municipality, as far as the pension contribution. We're going to be on the list as the number 2 department that contributes the most in the state.
So I was yeah, I think you.
Yeah, so it's gonna put it on par, fire union, members of the fire department are on target to hit 16% in 2026. FOP in this contract will be wrapping up, so shortly after 2026, they'll also reach 16%. So that's a number, but what really matters is that that will end up having the members, both fire and police, contributing about 2/3 of the anticipated costs of each employee to the pension fund. It's huge, it's a huge improvement. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Follow-up question?
My only comment is I think this is a fair contract. I haven't heard any strong opinions against it. I mean, you guys were at the public testimony, so definitely want to commend city, the union for working on a fair contract. It's really as simple as that. They were all like this.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve number 3.
No, I'm not probably gonna make it.
Okay.
No, no,
Okay.
no. No, I'll second.
Okay. Motion made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Graves. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We were very efficient tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. You talk, you cheat, you know that.
Great. All right. Madam Clerk.
So thumbs out, thumbs out.
Sounds out, comes out. Great, thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, if you would be so kind as to read number 4.
I don't. In accordance with section 21 B2 of the code of ordinances, multiple vendors. $335 million determined and public property.
Thank you. And I'd like to recognize the fact that it's Councilor Gonsalves. So now.
To recognize, we've got new food on it.
Nice, right?
It's not
We
new
got that on
Rogers.
the alpha.
For-
Was that on
get that
the-
from Rogers.
You get that from Franco Rogers? Did you get that from Franco Rogers?
Okay. It's here to present on item number 4. Agenda item number 4. I was afraid we didn't have anyone now.
Okay. To take it on, to swear in penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And to state your names and titles for the record.
Joe DeSanti, Director of Product Management,
John Residence, the breakfast.
Thank you so much, Mr. DeSanti and Director, for coming to speak with us on this item. So please proceed.
Oh, man, I'll let Joel handle the reasons.
Okay.
So I think the recommendation is pretty clear, but I just want to add a little bit more background. These 3 projects were submitted as part of the stage 2 and were approved through the RIDE process as well. So that means that we will be entitled up to 91% reimbursement on all these 3 projects. The other thing is that it's a testament to vendors wanting to work in profit. We had 22 vendors show up at the pre-bid, which I think is phenomenal in this day and age with so much work out there. Besides that, we're here to answer any questions you might have specifically.
Okay, well, I do, I think we're going to probably want to discuss, I think it's just to start the conversation. I think that we still are a little in the dark as exactly what is going on with these buildings. And so I'm just going to say as a city council member, I don't know if my many members agree, but maybe we can talk specifically about the green school projects. So if you could review with us exactly what is being planned for each of these projects, we'd appreciate it.
Sure. On Metro project, the plan is to construct a brand new 3K8 facility. And that current budget right now is $62 million overall, with $50 million allocated to construction alone. Builder store, same thing. There's going to be a new 3K elementary school or like elementary / middle school. Demolition of building store and the construction there. And at Mount Pleasant, we're looking to do a hybrid approach with the front facade or as much of the front facade as possible, and potentially the area above it in the auditorium, and then build a new high school behind it as well.
Okay, can we just concentrate on Mount Pleasant just for a minute? So just so I'm clear, because this, honestly, I think this has been the only transparency on this project, on what's happening at Mount Pleasant. I understand there have been community meetings. I have received questions as to what's going on over there. So the plan is to rehabilitate the front facade and the area above it. And what else?
Keep the auditorium. There's a beautiful auditorium there that we probably could never replace. And then the students and staff would stay in there, and would use the existing building as swing space as we constructed a new high school behind it, and then connect it back to the auditorium in the front building afterwards.
Okay, I'm sorry. So they're gonna continue occupying the school, that high school is there, but then you are going to build a new one behind that?
Correct.
And then you will incorporate the new building with the old building and the old facade.
Yeah, we'll move the kids and staff from the existing building to the new building.
Okay.
And we'll just demolish any part of the existing building at that point and do the connection with the electronics at that point.
Okay. All right, and then I'm just trying to envision it. Sorry, do we have any diagram of that or what that might look like?
We had the initial conceptual designs were submitted to RIDE, so part of the responsibility of this design build team is to start that process up again. And talk and design specifically to the needs of the community and the district at that point. So that, this is just really the beginning of it, where they're gonna really start the schematic design, investigate what parts of the building can be renovated and saved, as well as what the outside of the building will look like. The plan is to keep that front facade look, even with part of the new building as well.
May I just ask, I know there have been, I'm sorry, I'm sure there's others that want to ask questions. I'm just trying to understand this myself. So there have been meetings with the community, I believe, on this, and is it their understanding that you're keeping the front facade but getting rid of the back?
Correct. The initial community meetings we had two options. One was to take the building down and build a new building, which we were never, again, going back to the one, we could never replicate that for at this day and age. I think it's, and the front of the building as well, as part of the community. So what we did is during the RIDE stage 2 process is we developed another option, which was to keep a portion of the building, but build a new, state-of-the-art high school for the children as well. And that's what we call the hybrid approach. So you're doing a little bit of both. And that is what we presented right along and budgeted for that hybrid approach.
And just to zero right in, and the community understands that that is what's being presented, is that correct?
That's correct. At our building committee meetings, that's the plan that we have said is our preference during our any community meetings we've gone through with Councilor Ryan, for example. At her monthly meetings, as well as any meetings at the Mount Pleasant site, we continue to say that hybrid plan, which is keep the front facade, build new, is the plan we're going.
Okay, I appreciate it, and I'm gonna have some questions only because we have reached a point where we feel that some of these projects have been moving along without community involvement and transparency. And so my fear is that we keep, as a committee, approving these allocations of the RFP amounts and the bids, and that we are preventing any kind of transparency. So I'm happy to hear that we've had the meetings regarding Mount Pleasant. How about the meetings on the Messer and the Lima Stewart?
Yeah, both those meetings have occurred. We've attended the majority of those. The district and which we have somebody from PDSD here as well. They've been holding meetings throughout the community about pre-K and what that means for their schools. Having a child going from pre-K through 8th grade, which is certainly a different philosophy, and many people like that. They stay in one school for a longer period of time, which is good. It's a sense of community. The district has been going around throughout the community having those meetings as well.
Okay, I'm going to open it up for questions. Yes, Councilor Sanchez.
I guess this is a question to any of my colleagues, because I definitely haven't met with PPSD. Has any one of you guys met PPSD regarding the pre-K through 8th grade model for schools?
I have through West. They invited me over, me and President Crowe and Shadow attended that, and that's. They did, I think you were there as well.
Yeah, that was.
I had a meeting,
Yep.
I had a meeting, but it was mainly about design. It wasn't really about. It is going to supposed to be from K to 8, but it was never discussed with me before that meeting, and then basically it was more of a meeting of design opposed to them transferring over from one pre-K to 8th grade.
Okay, I have not either.
Yeah, no, I asked that. I mean, to be honest, I really don't have a strong opinion one way or another. But I know that was brought up long ago. I still haven't heard anything else on that type of model. So I mean, I don't feel comfortable approving this today myself. I haven't heard of that model through the district. I mean, ideally, we've been asking for broader plans, I feel like, on the future of schools. I mean, we're seeing all these schools shut down, and it's always a community fight, dialogue, conversation, whatever you want to call it. I'm just kind of confused. How do we move forward in approving money when we don't have a clear understanding of what the landscape of public education when it comes to the physical buildings here in Providence? It's kind of where I'm at. Sorry, it wasn't really a
I'm
question.
sorry, we're kind of. working into
I appreciate it. I know you, it's not really up to you guys. You guys are just trying to do your job.
And there's no one here from TPS.
No,
Okay. And may I just ask one more question? In terms of timing, if we were to continue this matter, I'm just asking the question, until we can have someone from, PPSD or someone from RIDE come in and explain to us exactly why these projects are moving forward. We have been asking consistently, and I feel that we have not been responded to. So I just have to ask what will happen if we have to continue this matter till we have someone that can explain that.
Yeah, so I can tell you from my perspective is that these projects, in order to get the reimbursement at 91%, have to be under contract by June 30th, 2024. So there's a concern that if we don't have a physical contract in place with the construction team, and that was part of the reason why we bundled it and got these out so quickly, is because there's a deadline that we have to meet that is not getting extended at the state level. At least we don't think so. That would be my concern, is that we need to be under contract. The early work that's going to be happening here is really over the next couple of months, just to give you some background, is really just talking to the community, starting the design process from square one at this point. There's no active construction that's going to be happening. There's no demolition or any of that kind of stuff. It's really just discussion and communication with the community and with any other individual stakeholders.
Thank you. So I know we're gonna have discussion, but is there any, which we will, I think, have a discussion on this, but is there any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
The three schools that you named, I don't see Kazarian down here for the gym floors and stuff.
So Kazarian is already been approved previously. We have our construction and architect team already. Yeah, so
Okay.
those were previously approved.
And that's for the gym floor, the gym that's already there.
Yeah, that's discussions we're having through the design process. Same thing we would have with any of these projects moving forward, but those teams have been awarded previously.
Yes, Counselor Anderson.
Thank you. And I will shout so you can hear me. So I apologize. I have a few questions. One, thank you for being here, and for answering questions. I want to share a concern that I think I hear from Chairwoman Anthony, in that I think I was expecting like more, given that this was like a $265 million item. There's like very little information here, so I walked in expecting there to be like PowerPoint presentation or just like some more information than like a couple lines of the budget. This gives me a little bit of like, it would be hard for me to explain to my constituents how I was okay approving $265 million and very little information, so just take that for what it is. The questions that I have, one is, how hard did we work to get, so we're at 0 MDE, WDE, how hard did we work to like hustle up anyone who would be above 0%?
Yeah, so that number will change, and we've been very good about making sure that these teams meet or exceed our goals. So this is for the award for the construction team and for the design team. The construction team, after we have a full design, we're fast forwarding a year from now, at that point, is when they would go out to the subcontractor community and hire subcontractors, including any MWB contractors that they have to, very clear in the goals that they have to meet as well. We meet with them in advance to make sure that they break out packages, that if needed to make smaller packages so that they can help and assist with getting small contractors involved as well.
Thank you. And if we're still in the design phase for these, how do we know so specifically how much each one will cost once we get to that construction phase?
So they're based, yeah, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, they're based on what our historical cost is right now, for any escalation that we're looking at in the market right now. We're building so many of these right now, we kind of have a very good idea of what the cost of steel is, what mechanical cost. And then when you have lifts, I mean, a couple of years ago, we all know escalation was crazy for a period of time, but now it's back closer to level and escalation is around 7% as opposed to 25%. So that's what we're basing it on. And RIDE also has a guideline that they will only pay X number of dollars a square foot for a school.
Okay.
So the designers have to design that as well as follow them. And, you know, certain products have to last 30 to 50 years to go to the school as well.
Yes, please. Would you mind just walking us through the lines in these budgets? Because most of them are acronyms, and so it'd be helpful to hear explained out. We'll be fine. We've got like design fee percent, DDC, OHT, A&E, and AP. You can just walk me through the lines. Do you have an extra copy? Okay.
You're looking at this back page.
Yeah, the back, they generally have the same.
Yeah, actually, that's a great page to look at. So if you look at the first one where it says, Mount Pleasant, your design fee is a percentage based on $90.5 million construction project budget. And what that does is give you the amount that they bid, and if that number goes down, for example, they're only allowed, or goes up, they're only allowed to charge 5.9%. So we locked in a percentage of it. Same thing with the design build fee. How construction managers respond to RFPs is with the fee amount for what the construction dollars are. And there, in this particular case, it was 2%. So again, if that number fluctuates one way or another, there's a 2% fee. So obviously, our goal is to keep that number down, push it down. So that's why we ask them, what is your fee? What is your percentage? So that we can adjust it down. Your AECA fee is your design fee is for them designing the building, doing the paper copies, the blueprints that we see. Your AEC is, we want to know that the architect is going to have a construction administrator on the job to ensure that what they've designed and specified is being installed. So it will be on-site reviewing what's installed. Things that come out there once or twice a week, depending on that. So we want to know what that value is and to ensure that they included the appropriate amount. Pre-construction fee is basically during this process where we're going to go through design and community meetings and estimates. That's a cost that the construction manager has factored in. And many times, as you can see, like on the Agostini, it was $100,000. They usually reduce that rate just to give you the benefit that they're going to give you some of that for a reduced fee. Item number 5, general conditions of staff. That's basically exactly what it means. It's their staff for the duration of probably, in this case, probably a 30 to 36 month schedule. And then we ask them, okay, by month, what is that general condition for staff? And Agostini's case was 96,000. We take all of that, we come up with an overall percentage total so that we know what it is. In that case, it's 13.6% or $12 million. And then what you have is another thing called general requirements, and that's your toilets, that they have your portable toilets, your offices, your portable offices, your dumpsters, all the stuff that's not people related or design related. We want to know what that cost is. And what does that cost per month? And you can see that factor there. And then number 7, the important one, is the $75 million, 74 million, 7556. That's the portion that we're going to be looking for MWB participation in that number there.
One more question.
Yes, please.
And for this one in particular, since they do come down to the same total project budget at the base, how did you choose Agustin versus Shawnet?
So one of the important things was, resources, their understanding of, first of all, do they have the right staff? Do they have enough staff? People are very busy right now, and that's one of our number one concerns is, do you have the proper staff? And is the staff you're presenting the one that we're getting? So we want to make sure we're experienced staff, not a new staff that they just hired in order to get this job. So that was one of the criteria we looked at. The other criteria is, can you get a bond for all these projects? Because many of these construction companies are doing a lot of projects, and the sureties are getting very tight. That's one of our biggest concerns right now. And then Providence, have you worked in Providence? Do you know how to build in Providence? Because there is a difference. And Agostini happens to be one of the companies, so is shown. So we go through a criteria based on what was in the RFP, and then assign points to that. And then obviously at the end, price is a factor. Sometimes we have firms that get really close with their points, and then the determining factor is price. Sometimes we get them that are very close, and although they might be low, we still have some concerns about their ability to be able to do a number of projects here in Providence at the same time.
Yes, please. For all of these, it looks like, everyone bid the same amount. Did they know ahead of time, like, this is how much we have for this project?
So what we had is a size of a building, the stage 2, which kind of gave a general idea of what the size of the building was, how many students are going to be there. Any of these experienced firms would know that the ride calculation per square foot per student is X number of square foot, this size building, and this is how much ride will be reimbursed for. If they went and looked through the public documents, that information there anyway, that building committee meetings or any of the information that was submitted to ride. So they all had a good sense of what it was, but luckily they all did, but it's not unusual sometimes where we do see some firms that bid a little bit less.
Yeah.
Or we've seen the opposite, we've seen some firms bid a lot more, which I think might have been one of the things that happened on this. I don't think it's one of the rewarding ones, but there was potentially this or the one we're reviewing right now where they were certainly significantly more, but I think in this case they were.
Yeah, in these three, it looks like everybody else did.
Yeah, it looks like they're all the same.
And I guess my last question, if you don't mind.
No, please.
How often do we see like change orders, for some of this? Cause like, it looks like for the initial thing, I'm just looking at the Mount Pleasant now, but several of these. There'll be a significant difference, like, the ACAG is like more than $1 million less for Agostini versus Charlotte. And maybe they're just like really efficient at that phase. But like, how often do we see them coming back to like?
So the good thing about this delivery method, the design build delivery method, is bringing in that designer and construction person together. So you got two professionals that are really constantly checking each other.
Yeah.
We have found historically using this delivery method that, and I can tell you for a fact, like at Spaziano, Narducci, and Debate, we had very few change orders because we use the design build delivery method. So basically, we say that's the building we want to meet these standards, we stay with them throughout the whole process. If there's a change order, it's you gotta fix it, Mr. Design Builder, because you knew the design, you knew what you were building. We constantly push back to them, and it is significantly reduced, probably less than 1%, where typically you see a new construction 3%, when in renovations you see up to 5%, maybe sometimes higher. So it's definitely a better and more cost-effective delivery method as well.
Yes, please. The other thing which I meant to say at the beginning was, congratulations, because I saw DOE just awarded, award to the two of the most recent schools.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
congrats on that. Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it. That's all I know.
Counselor Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your leadership, Mr. DeSanti, and also Director. I'm just curious, what was the line item total for all the school renovations that we have in the pipeline? Was it 400 million that was leveraging the 91% reimbursement rate?
Yeah, so it's 235. Well, let me go back. So it's 146 million right now for Kazarian, Fogarty, and Spaziano Middle School, which are the phase 2 projects.
Yep.
Phase 3 is the project Master Stewart in Mount Pleasant, which is 235. And then there's another 400 million. We actually just received the RFP responses, and we're going to be submitting them to the box calendar next Thursday, that's 400.
Great, so the phase 4, and then when do you expect to be back before the council? And when do those projects have to be up and running? I think it's before 2026, right? So is there a sense, can you give us like a sense of the timeline for phase 4?
Yeah, phase 4 will be in the, so we just got the RFP, we got 8 RFP responses back, so we'll be bringing those.
And that's for all the projects?
That's for all the projects, yeah, and they range from 15 million up to 90-ish million, somewhere in there, and a couple right in the middle of 40, 50. Those, we're making a recommendation this week. Those we're hoping to get at least through to finance committee by the end of this month, so that we can check the box and say that we have approval. But those will be starting design, probably after the summer. We'll be starting our focus on committee meetings on these 3, and then those next 8 will be in design for a while. So they'll be going through a conceptual schematic design, where these are gonna go straight into a schematic design, because they've been having a little bit more time.
With intention for construction around 2026?
Yeah, I think some of them might be sooner, some might be a little bit later. Usually you get like a 5-year window for the MOA. So it could be, it's probably 26 is probably like right in the middle. But there's a couple of smaller projects in the 50 million range that we might do sooner through a couple of summers. And then there's the big one that might take a little bit longer.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you for asking. My follow-up on that is, I'm sorry, did you say those are coming before our committee or?
We are going to be submitting them to Box for the June 3rd meeting. So those will be coming here eventually, I assume.
Okay, and do they have to be committed as this award does? This is set to be committed by any certain time, June 30th? Are you still working with June 30th?
I believe those are still.
To be-
That's not possible. But we'd have to have a special council meeting, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't know about the timing of all this. I'm gonna say if these have to be submitted for reimbursement by June 30th, including the tranche, the phase 4 tranches. I think this is gonna be, complicated. Not impossible, but, and I hate to rush, but anyway, do you have a comment?
Yes, I do. First off, is why are we hearing this today? I guess for something that needs to be done by June 30th. No, I understand 91%, and that's what I'm afraid of. That if we don't do this by June 30th, we're gonna lose the 91%. So then we're gonna go back and it's gonna be 235 million. Where it's only 21 million with a 91%. Well, I mean, it's budget season, we're trying to get through, I mean. I wasn't really worried about stage 4 until you just mentioned that has to be done by June 30th. I'm worried about what's on the table today of stage 3 to get through, so.
Yeah, I mean, I personally can't answer that question as to why you're just finding out about it today. I mean, it's been our directive to just get these RFPs done and get it processed.
But so if, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
So if let's say we continue this till next week. For stage 3, because we haven't got stage 4 yet. So to try to get, is that a problem, or I mean, can you come back, or somebody come back with a little bit more information, or?
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely can come back with more information.
Thank you, Councilor Taylor, Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Yeah, I mean, the timeline has been concerned from the beginning of this meeting to me. I don't know, Mike, can you comment on when the bond, the last bond got approved from the General Assembly?
The 400?
The 400 million, 'cause that was being debated not even 2 weeks ago, and we have RFPs out for it already. That's why I'm like,
No, that's been going on for a long
I
time.
think there seems to be some, Mike, do you have anything to add to this? Because if you do, I'm gonna swear you in.
Yeah.
Okay, let's swear in, it's right here.
it got voted out like last week.
Perjury that the testimony about the
$400 million bond.
whole truth and nothing.
Did we put out RFPs before that bond was approved?
No, here, I don't believe so.
No, the $400 million bond that did pass the General Assembly last week is separate from this completely.
It's separate from stage 4?
No, it's separate from stage 3, right? But
Yeah,
for
yeah,
stage
yeah.
4 funding,
Separate from stage three,
Yeah.
that's on the agenda today. But as far as next week's RFPs, I'm not sure about that.
Okay, that's a fair answer. Okay, I appreciate that.
so do we need to have to come in and go this question? Do we have to have the stage 4? Do we have to have all the stage 4 contracts
I think that's,
by then, or did we just have to have the bond approved by then?
I believe in the way that the bond is written, all contracts have to be approved, or at least the RFPs have to be out the door by June 30th of 2024.
Oh, those are different, so RFP's out the door, you can do, but
they have to be,
contract signed is.
yeah, they have to be back and approved. Now the question is, what does contract mean, or what does approval mean by June 30th, 2024?
For some other context, there was some language, there was a piece of legislation up at the General Assembly this year to change that date. It did not pass. It was not part of our legislative package.
Director Silveria, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, so it's, and Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we
We might have to swear you in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already mentioned. I'm sorry. I swear you in again. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that in order to meet our application to have that, have access to that 91%, we have to meet these milestones. We haven't gone out to bond yet for these projects. So before we move forward on any of these stages, we'd be before you with the bond ordinance, detailing what we were planning to do anyway. I think this is just like a paperwork issue with us to be able to secure that extra bonus, maybe one of like 9% that we would be able to have access to if we did it this way.
Okay, that's for phase 3, so what we have before us.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're not saying we have to
We're
have.
not spending any money, we haven't bonded yet, we haven't come before you with the bond ordinance. So.
Okay, does that not answer?
What about
everyone's
stage
questions?
4?
Wait, we haven't bonded out the phase 3 part of it
No,
yet?
we're still in the 2019 MOA, is that phase?
Yeah, that's right. We're just moving into the next.
I think I have more questions than I started with.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's sort of the Bob.
Thank you, Director. I'm gonna ask you more questions there if you don't mind. Sorry. So for the phase 4, 400 million, which we obviously haven't bonded yet because it just got approved and we don't have anything here, but what's the timeline on, like, what do we need to get, what do we here in this room have to approve for that us to not lose the 91%?
That we're going out to contracts, and so those contracts can also change, so we could have these contracts put in place on June 30th, and then later on amend them, change them, but it's my understanding that to meet,
To meet the bonus is incentive sunset this June 30, 2024. So any project that is not under contract or approved, they will not allow you to submit for the reimbursement. In this case, it's 9% that you would lose on that project.
Will those be introduced to us in time to do that?
to move forward with the phase 3 and phase 4, yes, yeah. So this is just, I guess, Brad, there's the program sunsets on June 30th, so if we're not like showing that we're moving forward with it, then we'll lose that opportunity. But we would still have to go through all of the regular process of bonding and putting forth an ordinance and, with the council.
Did you answer? I guess the other question I have real quick is like, if we approve the contracts. I guess like from a process perspective, I'm hearing both like we have to approve the contracts, but then it would still come here for the bond ordinance to go through, but like. You can't change it after you've done the contracts, right?
So we could amend contracts afterwards. We're right now, like, these are design build, right? So that's why we ask for the percentages. So if we decide that we want less, we know what that percentage is of that contract, so we can adjust it. The initial contracts, just, and I probably should have clarified this initially as well, is that we will only award, I mean, they're gonna award for the project, but they're only gonna award for any pre-construction dollars. So for Agostini on Pleasant, it's $100,000, for example. So that we're gonna make sure that we will incrementally increase those if we have to, or as we move forward.
Okay. Councilor Jalen.
So basically, forget 4 right now, because what we have on the table is 3, so
Yeah.
let's not
Right.
move forward and think about 4. So I'm focused on 3. So what I'm hearing from Sarah is that basically it's just a good faith that we're voting to do this, to move forward. And but it's not costing anything because it could be changes by June 30th or even after June 30th, just to show good faith. The city's willing to do this, to go into the 91%. And then,
Yeah, it's just to be able to access that program before it expires on June 30th.
I think that's different, but. Because we're getting lost on 4, that's why I don't wanna,
Yeah.
like, when they mentioned 4, it's like, wait a minute, we haven't even finished 3, so. I mean, on that issue, I would probably. Approve it, but it's only just, it's a good faith to say, hey, listen, we're gonna do this. 4, that they have to worry about and put 4 through.
Counselor Sanchez.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Is it common practice to sign these type of agreements without having the funds secured, or is this something that is just something we're
I
doing?
haven't
because
seen it before, but I don't know if this program has existed before.
That just doesn't seem
Yeah, I mean, from
practical.
my experience,
Responsible.
and we do a lot of projects throughout Rhode Island, is that it is not the typical process that you certainly want to do. You want to marry contracts with funding, but this deadline that has on the sunsetting of those bonuses, and in Providence case, it's 9%, in some other cases, 18%. A lot of districts, a lot of municipalities are doing this because they have to get a contract in place. And when I say contract, like an agreement that we're approving, you know, this firm that will be doing the design on this project in the future. It checks that box so that there's no question about when that project is done years from now, that they will be able to submit it for every bonus has been accepted. But it has become, if you see the market out there, I mean, anywhere around this area, everybody is bidding project right now, which is unbelievable. From Warwick to Middletown to Lincoln, I mean, it's every district right now is bidding to beat that deadline. They're not all starting on July 1st, but they're all saying, okay, we have our team right here waiting for us to get ready to go.
Counselor Graves.
How long do we know about this June 30th or 31st deadline, June 30th?
I think it's come up over the last few months specifically because it was every other year, those bonuses and incentives have been extended. Last time, they used to sunset at different times, like 2 of them would sunset on 1 year and another on it. So last year they kind of aligned them all. So everything, you know, ended on June 30th, 2024. And I think the intent was that everybody thought that it was going to be, you know, extended again. From every indication, we see that there's been some requests, but to date, there has not been any extension. So we have to all operate under the assumption that that is it, that they are not going to extend.
I hear what you're saying, that everybody's doing it, but I was brought up just because everybody's doing it doesn't mean that it should be done. You know, the fact that it seems like we're always getting stuff at the last minute. We're at this, we're stuck between that rock and that hard place, and I hate being in that spot, but it seems like it's a constant thing coming before this group. Why, if we knew a few months ago, why are we just getting it a couple of weeks before? You know, because I'm gonna be truthful, I was gonna say we need to do a continuance on this stuff and continuing to win. You know, and then you're gonna talk about the other phase, that I'm glad you brought that up, even though it muddies the water. We needed that mud in there because now we know that we have not just one thing, but we have 2 things that we have to contend with. I suggest that we start doing things in a more in enough time for us to get the information, digest it, and decide if we want to vote for yes or no. I don't like this rush. You know, and me of all people, you know, sitting around here, I'm probably older than most of y'all, so you know, I'm not trying to rush. I want to have enough time to read this and say, yes, this is what I want to do. Now it feels like, you know, we're getting pushed in a corner constantly on every different thing. We have to stop this. Well, I'm gonna be saying no, 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 no the whole time, because if we don't nip it in the bud, it's gonna just be a continuing thing. And we kept saying, I know I'm getting back on my soap opera box, I'm sorry. But my soapbox, but we need to decide what we really want to do and how we want to run this thing. And if we don't want to keep doing this, then we have to nip this in the bud somewhere and somehow. I still think there needs to be a continuance, even if it's just for a week for this, because there's other things that we need to digest. And I really and truly do not like voting for things that I don't really feel comfortable with. And I shouldn't be voting for things that I'm really not comfortable with. That's not what the people elected us to do. They want us to know what we're voting for and do it correctly. I'm off my box, you can go.
No, I want to get out my box. No, I agree with a lot of your comments, but I have questions for our solicitor. What happens if we sign design build agreement with construction company and then don't have the money? Do we open ourselves up to any?
I gotta see what we signed. I don't know what we signed, so I don't know what implication is triggered in the event that we don't follow through. I don't know if someone from our office reviewed it, or if someone from, I'm not sure who's actually reviewed it. I haven't seen it.
So I guess my next question would be, is it also a common practice to, or has it happened in the past where we sign an agreement saying one thing and then it changes after the fact?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, certainly we can modify agreements, but it's gonna be, the general concept is both sides have to agree to modify the agreement. So it can't, even if we wanted to, there has to be an agreement to modify.
Right.
And just the general concept.
What I might suggest on this is, understanding the deadlines we have. I do see that on May 29th, we have, remaining BOCS matters. We could possibly continue it just till the 29th to a date certain, because we do have room on our schedule.
I think that's a good idea.
That way we can really have a more complete presentation on this. And I always appreciate, Mr. DeSanti, all that you do, because I know you have put a lot of thought into this, but I just think that there are too many remaining questions for us to actually vote on this evening, and it kind of sets the table for what's going to happen on phase 4, which we can also discuss at that meeting. So I'm going to recommend that we go ahead and continue this matter until May 29th. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we continue the meeting.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Gray, seconded by Councilor Sanchez, all in favor? All opposed? So we will take this matter up on the 29th. We appreciate your time, and I'm sorry, I have to agree, I'm not comfortable moving this forward this evening. Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda.
Item 5. Resolution authorizing approval of the following contract award by the Board of Electric Supply in accordance with section 21-22B of the Code of Ordinances. Rascal and $31,286.88. Department approving property.
All right. Going at it another time. All right, here we go. Please proceed.
All right, we're asking for the approval for Armscott, $31,218.88. What they did is we surfaced and we coded 10 recreation centers. The only ones that didn't touch was the Johnson Recreation Center, because the court is actually rubber. I guess there's questions as far as I really want to supply it. There are questions on it,
I don't think we've asked for any, have any questions yet.
okay, so the reason why this one's expiring is, public property was notified on December 7th, that these needed to be done.
Then they found out the windows between December 22nd and January 2nd, which is school vacation. So at that point, because of the time constraints, they got in touch with the person who did the last year, which was the Armstrong Company, and told them they had to do it this year. Should they have, the thing, I also want to know, it was 63,000 square feet that they did it, and they were charging $1.98 a square foot, and which matched the state MBA. MBA at 364, so they did match the price of state MBAs.
Okay. And when will the work be done?
It's done.
Oh, it's done.
Yes, they did it December 22nd, January 2nd.
Okay,
They wanted to get it done by the January 21st year.
and it's before us. We don't have anyone there. Why is it before us after the fact?
I couldn't answer that.
Okay. Yeah, that's my question. All right, sorry.
So it didn't go out to bid,
No,
okay, because I know they did West End Rec and, personally, I'm not too happy with what they did. It seems like they did like a watered down. The floor was great, sanding and everything, but when they went to the finish, like the kids have been playing on it now and you wouldn't even know really that it's been done. So it's not, I don't know if they used a different type of, varnish or something, but that's, the first time they did it, it was like, they might as well have made it an ice rink, because it was so slippery, it was terrible. And then now I've gotten complaints that it's like wearing off in spots. So, and that was only done. Was that 4 or 5 months ago? Yeah. So I'm just, I mean, I understand they got the bid and everything, but maybe that's why they were a little bitter or figured. I don't know, I just can't figure out why, because they did it last time, it was great. It was the same company. I don't know what happened, unless they replaced some people, but it was. If you talk to Lynn over at she's the director of West End, she'll give you more info than I can give you because she's there every day. And give you the complaints about it.
Okay, Counselor Amberbach.
Thank you. Yeah, a question and a comment. A comment is the same actually as Councilman Taylor's. I've heard the same complaints at Vincent Brown that they were already asking if I could like sneak in some NIF money to get it redone because it's like totally like it never happened. And I guess it was through September. And so I was like, oh, yeah, let's just do it forever since you did this because I had no idea it had been done, but it's just got done 4 months ago. And then I guess the question is, yeah, I guess and you don't know, you weren't here yet, but like, why did this come to us in December then?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's when I first seen this, I was asking questions about it, no one gave me a really good answer why it took that long to notify us, but that's when we were notified.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes,
One quick
please.
thing. Okay, so I guess my question is, I know you weren't here, I'm not blaming you.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
not here. But why wouldn't the deputy be here? Because she's looking for a raise in this budget. And like 10 grand, and she doesn't come to this meeting where we can ask her the question that concerns her.
Again, I mean.
And I'm putting you on the
No,
spot.
I understand that, but in the same situation, if it was me or her, we were both would have been notified December 7th, and it would have been the same situation. So I don't think, there was no way she could have, like, actually gone through the entire process to still get this done between December 22nd and, January.
Right, but when did you come on board?
I started January 2nd.
Right, so she would have a little more information that if we ask questions of why, because she's been the deputy for a while, of why this happened and why it didn't go up to bid. It's unfair for us to ask you because we're in.
I mean, I did talk to her about it before, I came here, so I would have the proper information, but,
I just think personally, and I'm gonna echo back on her, because she echoed on me, is I think they did it and they did a quick sloppy job and they paid it for it. And there's nothing the finance committee can do about it right now, you know, in front of us.
I mean,
But they've already done the job.
probably something I can do, but it's the first I heard that it was a problem with the forms, if we were notified when it, when you guys get the complaints, let me know about it. and
Yeah.
Follow through with it because.
So I thought the director would notify someone, but
It's the first I've heard about it.
And so just to be clear, this has been paid.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. I don't think we need to take any action.
Who would pay? Maybe they haven't, I'm not sure on that. You're asking Peter if we would pay.
Okay,
So
then,
where this been done, it hasn't been paid yet.
okay, All right, in that case, we will be.
Well, I would,
Acting on
I think we
this.
should bring them back
I
in.
think we
to
should
see.
bring it back in and listen to the complaints.
We'll continue this matter, I think, I recommend that we continue. it.
Motion to continue
Okay.
item number.
Second,
The
third.
motion is to continue, I'm not sure that we'll have a date certain on this, I don't think we need one, city solicitor.
Number 5.
We don't need a date certain to continue, all right, we're gonna continue this matter, only made by Counselor Sanchez, seconded by Counselor Anderson. And we would so appreciate it if you follow up on that, that would be
Absolutely.
great, and when you're ready to come back, you just let us know, and we will reschedule this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, are you still presenting, or do you have anything else?
I think I'm done.
Okay.
I thought you had.
I'm sorry. We all seconded. We didn't have to vote.
We did it, right?
Yeah.
We just did.
No,
No, we said first and second.
let me just confirm, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, this is good. Okay, next item, please.
Item 6, resolution authorizing approval of the following contract award by the Board of Conference Supply. We have 7-1-2062 A in the Code of Ordinances. RF US and 10,797,108 Department of Planning and Development.
Okay, thank you so much for to swear everyone in.
Yes, we are the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And please state your names and tell us for the record.
Chris Martin, Principal Planning of the Department of Planning. Joe Logan, Director of Planning.
Jeff Lance, Director of Special Projects for the Department of Planning and Development.
Thank you all for coming. I'm sorry that you've had to sit through. Hasn't been too long. I appreciate it. Okay, we'll glad to hear that. All right, if you would like to present on this item, please do.
Good evening, thank you for the time. We're here to authorize design contracts associated with the Rebuilding American Infrastructure Sustainability and Equity Grant that has been received by the city of Providence. And the scope of that work is to provide improvements to the Providence River Walk, to improve resiliency, to provide additional connectivity. Again, this is all design work associated with looking at that scope of work. Primarily related along the river, which was constructed in the 80s and the 90s, although for somebody my age, it seems like a short time ago. There are those at the table in the room, may not even been born yet. I'm too old, but we were looking at making improvements to bring it up to really current standards. And as we do some analysis there, we realized that along the river, that's an unrelenting scouring and abrasion that occurs. So we're concerned about the condition of the river walls. We're looking at accessibility issues. There at the time it was built, the surface treatments and ramping and other ability for people to get down to the river walk are constrained and limited. We're looking to react to the climate change that is occurring and the increase of storm events that are increasing the level of the river, creating flooding conditions that prevent it unsafe and continuously deleterious addition to the infrastructure in that area. In addition, should we make improvements there, we're looking for ways to better connect the other parts of the city to that general area, including through bike paths, pedestrian paths, and improved pedestrian connections across Memorial Boulevard for increased pedestrian safety and greater connection to the larger Kennedy Plaza area. So this is kind of a multi-phased approach of different design iterations. And this money is for the firm Arab, which had earlier through an approved design process, bought some of these concepts up to 30% design. This design contract is to take many of those concepts and bring them up to a level close to bid documents so that we can identify pricing opportunities, determine priorities, establish phasing, and then make a determination on how we'd like to move forward for construction implementation sometime in the future following this design process.
I appreciate the presentation. Can you just remind me, I'm sorry, is it ARA or ARA? ARA. When they did their initial, was this under the Alorza administration? It was. Okay. Yes. And I remember that community process and the engagement, and I just am so sorry that I never, what happened after, so we had designed, but up to 30%. Can you just give me a little history on it?
Correct, yes. So that whole scope was looking at Greater Kennedy Plaza and connecting all of our downtown park spaces, right? So how to activate all of our downtown spaces, the ring Kennedy Plaza, Burnside Park, and really connect Water Place Park with Greater Downtown and ultimately up to the train station. So we have better commuting options too for multimodal transportation. The scope of that project was to look at all of that space and design 30% concepts that we would then look at in the future for future implementation. And however, future administrations or directors decided that we would like to go forward. So in 2022, we applied for the RAISE grant, taking one piece of this, the Water Place Park and Riverwalk improvements, and put that into a grant application for the RAISE program through USDOT, which is what we were awarded and what we are looking to award with ERA now.
I really appreciate that because I didn't remember it as a much larger scope project, so I was wondering how it got narrowed down to the project we have in front of us. And this is grant funded, which is?
It is. So we have $7.8 million through the USDOT RAISE grant. We have $1 million through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and we have $2 million committed in local CIP match. So we're really leveraging $2 million local dollars with 7.8 or 3.8 or 8.8. Okay. Math is hard. So we're leveraging, a relatively small amount of our own money with these greater federal opportunities.
Any questions? Yes, Councilor Taylor.
How many vendors received this bid proposal?
We sent it out pretty widely. We received the one bid.
This one bid?
Correct.
But there were multiple firms interested. There were at least 5. The early public comment here. For whatever reason, I won't speculate, but they've probably seen that Arab had provided an earlier design concept and decided they would apply the remedies elsewhere. But it was unfortunate. But regardless, the fee proposals were in line with the expectations, and they were negotiated back and forth in order to ensure that we get the greatest value from the contract, and we're comfortable with not only Arab from their professionalism, but the way that we were able to negotiate the fee and bring it to a level of satisfactory amount. Thank you.
Councilor Johnson.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairwoman. So, the 30% design that occurred with Derek, I remember that process. It was in 2022, you mentioned. What are the implications here for Kennedy Plaza, specifically the bus hub? That was very much a part of that process. And what are the implications for Kennedy Plaza specifically with this one here?
So with this current project, with the scope that we're looking at for this money, we are not looking at Kennedy Plaza at all. All we're looking at is a connection from Memorial Boulevard and Water Place Park into downtown. We're not looking at Kennedy Plaza.
Got it. Okay, great.
Yes,
Thank you.
Councilor Anderbaugh. You're welcome.
Thank you guys for this presentation. I'm especially excited by how much we're leveraging outside funding for just like a small amount of city relatively small amount of city funding to get an additional 8.8 is really easy. For the US Fish and Wildlife piece, does that mean are there gonna be some like nature-based solutions built in or any like fish passage stuff? I know the Providence River has a shocking amount of like wildlife in it. What is the US Fish and Wildlife piece though?
So that is gonna help us look at sort of naturalizing some of the riverbank where feasible. So we know, some portions of the wall may be able to come down and we may be able to denaturalize that area a little bit. So helping with pollution, helping with runoff, helping with habitat. So that funding is going specifically to those sort of nature-based solutions. Feasible.
Fantastic question. Yes, please. I read through everything and I'm totally forgetting. What's like the overall timeline for like this planning phase?
So we're, once this gets approved by this, body, then we will look to finalize the contract with Barrett. Kickoff will hopefully be in the spring, early summer, but I'm hoping earlier, mid to late spring. And then, we have a timeline of about end of 2026 for design to be completed. And then we'll be looking for, federal funds for construction.
Okay,
I make the motion we approve.
Second.
motion to approve made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Anderson, all in favor? All opposed? Very excited about this, so thank you. Okay. Madam Clerk, please read the next item.
Item 7. An ordinance in amendment of chapter 2004-36, number 348, October, August 13, 2004, entitled an ordinance granting the Downtown Public Management District authorization to operate as a business improvement district.
Hey, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for coming. May we swear you in? Oh, I'm sorry, I will substitute. I'm sorry, we're gonna swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. You swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true, the truth, and nothing but the truth. Please state your names and the title for the record. Alice Nancy Finance Manager, Downtown.
Robert Wilson, Executive Director of Downtown.
Joshua Miller, Chair of the Farm Board.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Friend Miller, for everything you do for our city. Just to say right off the bat. Thank you tonight for coming on this issue. We missed you at the public hearing.
Yeah.
Anyway, who would like to start us this? Oh, first of all, we have a substitution.
Substitution, yes.
Okay. We have, may I have a motion to substitute this for what is.
So
Second. All right, the motion made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Vanderbilt, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. And I can see that our, substitution is, thank you very much, highlighted in red, the changes, which is very helpful. Okay, so who would like to start?
I'll start.
Okay, thank you.
We're before you today to, get. By the fire that was, right now, our footprint just isn't really downtown Providence, so. We would love to be able to expand to give the services that we give, to the capital center area. Also, we have, we have a few issues with our budget because we have funds from post COVID. So we had double monies from and we kept on a staff that was that had to lay off some folks, and we will have to continue to lay off more if we can't get this expansion fast. So these are the issues that are up against right now.
Okay, I guess I'm just gonna start off the questions. Can you just highlight what the changes have been made since we had our public hearing?
Yes, they with
policy director. He amended the ordinance so that it fits clerical error that was from 2004 that he corrected it. And it also, he implemented the zone 3, which will be the capital center area. And the only other thing was take out that we could construct public facilities, which we wouldn't anyway. But that was portions of let's see, the voluntary people that the organizations that voluntarily pay us. Right now, it's they're taking which is that I guess if they go against us getting tax money from voluntary.
Okay.
So those are the there's one other.
I see you have a change to your board.
Right. To have one of the council members as a voting board member on our board and 2 additional as they are non-voting.
All from the council, or who are the, just 1 councilman and then 2? I'm sorry, can we have clarification on that?
Yeah, I can clarify that if you want. I met with Councilwoman Graves several days ago, and we went through some of her specific concerns. And we do have a vacant position, and there are 9 voting members and 8 members who are ex officio, but are very valuable to the bid. And we agreed that a council person chosen by the council could be represented on the board. Therefore, they would be in a better position of thoroughly understanding the board's operations, especially as it relates to expansion, current expansion proposed and potential expansions at a later date, and why we would be interested in that. And it would give the input and the voice of the council to go to, this is, the governing document is a legislative document, and it would be appropriate to propose that during the legislative session starting in January of next year. And the council person of choice, whether it be council person Graves or another, would be involved in that process of how any changes proposed for legislation on how the bid was governed would be, they would be participant in that process.
Okay.
Yeah.
And may I just have one more
Sure.
clarification about the budget,
Yeah.
and the budget. So I guess I just want to ask the question, right? So you've had, I know you know the many reasons you would like to expand the bid.
Yeah.
But in terms of the finances, so is it true that unless we approve the bid?
I think that's a more dramatic way than I would have
Okay.
presented it.
Okay.
Do you mind if I go
No,
through some of the
please, I would like
history
some
of the
clarification.
financing?
Yes.
So I was brought in as board chair right on the eve of COVID, and what the staffing of the bid was from 8 AM to 4 PM pre-COVID. Post-COVID, we gathered and thought intensely about how that changed what downtown needed. And there were drastic changes in what downtown needed based on COVID. So what we agreed to strive for was 2 major things. One was to increase the hours and the quantity of both clean and safe as a result of COVID from 8 AM to 8 PM, and we're now actually coming in a little earlier than that. And also on the RIPTA, on behalf of security in the RIPTA district, gave money to us for security in that area, so. In order to fund that dramatic expansion, which also included funding social workers based on the community needs of, a very different population that was. Starting to use downtown as a destination. And the best way to meet their needs beyond traditional policing, which is why the DID was started, was to have additional security on behalf of the property owners and those who transit through that area. And so we strove to raise money. Some of that was additional money from the existing property owners. Some of it was money from, examples were Brown, Blue Cross, people who weren't in the district. Some of our higher eds were part of it. Gilbane Construction, Prakashani, some of the people that are in this capital center footprint, who got more familiar and saw the need for additional security on the people who were still attempting to work and return to work, how additional security was so important. And so Rhode Island Foundation was a key component. They matched some of those funds for both social workers and additional security. And we raised between matching funds and funds directly for those interested in those additional services, almost $500,000. So when we talk about our budget going forward, we are still involved with Rhode Island Foundation, but as you know, there's a transition of leadership. So we haven't been able to solidify how it would work, except to have Brown and Johnson Wales commit minimal funds. And they committed them on an indefinite basis. I think Brown is at least 3 years, Johnson Wales is indefinite. So maybe the tune of about $40,000 to $50,000. And we're still in negotiation, or will be in negotiation with the Rhode Island Foundation, whether they're willing to match that. We had similar discussions with the convention center, which would include the AMP on providing additional security based on people coming and going from those venues. But the challenges and why it's brought up involved in the expansion of the DID is because those additional additional resources are coming slower. The last thing we want to do, and what we've done up to date, is not cut so many personnel that we had to change our hours. And that will be our challenge going forward. Because going into the evening is really, really important to people in the existing footprint and the footprint that we anticipate on if we get approval on the capital city side. And so that's why the challenge is there currently based on the calendar that we have now. We anticipate also with the pilot treaty that the city put in place that additional contributions from higher ed, and they have been prioritizing making sure the social work doesn't go away in our discussions with them, and that the evening doesn't go away. They just haven't committed to funds. And the Rhode Island Foundation has not given up the structure. They created a structure specifically for this called the Healthy and Safe Fund. And so we hope to replenish that, but until it won't get replenished in time to further diminish the workforce. And so what we look for is, and I mentioned when we talked about this recently, is to make sure that the funds that we get from expansion will create that gap where we're able to maintain workforce in the hours we created post-COVID.
That's very helpful because it's a different picture entirely. And I guess so I understand what you're saying and the potential for, for the further funds.
Yeah.
But if we do expand, are you going to have you're going to be able to preserve the crew that you have, but are you going to actually be able to serve the new area?
Yeah, it's designed to serve those areas.
Okay.
There will be no dilution in service.
Okay, all right. Councilor Graves, we very much would like to hear from you since you had raised a lot of many questions on this, and it is in your report.
Yeah, we did meet and thank you. And we were able to go through a lot of the things that I was talking about a lot of the concerns that, I spoke about, unfortunately, the board makeup was another one of the things that was under the state, the thing that you have. So we were able to get a space for one council person.
Congratulations. We will, oh, we're not voting, son of a. I'm only kidding.
Thank you all.
And two others, I still think the two others should be coming from, and we kind of agreed on that, which should be coming from the community at large. Once we were able to go, because we did agree that we would go when legislation come back up, we'll go there and try to change this body of work to include more people from the surrounding community. And I don't know if that's what's gonna happen, but that's what we're gonna try to do. And at least two people from the council. That was one of my biggest concerns in some of the writings, but Aaron and the senator were able to, and I guess your staff, I'm giving you all the glory because I know you're the one I'm talking to. To clean up any rights that were not in that original thing from the state, and there was some, and we were able to strike that out automatically. So I am willing to go on with this, but I'm glad that they committed and they did what they said they would do. I'm still, like I said, concerned until we get the language changed. I'm still a little concerned, but we did all that we could do from where we are now. The rest is gonna be up at the State House. I have spoken to several of your compadres at the State House, and they all are willing to change this and introduce it to the floor. So, on both sides. So that's, I don't know if it's gonna pass, but we do have people that are willing to introduce it to the floor to change this, because I don't think anybody should have this much power for the, city. I just don't. So, having said all that, I am willing, because I told them if we could get this done, I'm willing to vote on this. And I don't think that we really have to worry too much about having enough people to work at the Capitol, because this argument that we all made is most of the Capitol part of it is self-contained. The State House takes care of itself, the train station takes care of itself, so they're not gonna really need a lot of bodies over there, in the first place, which is the other thing is, why are you coming over here? Because we don't really, hate to say that, but they really need the services like some of the other areas. But once it came out that there was a funding issue, I do not want us to be the cause of anybody losing their job in this time of day and age, especially if we're all willing to work to come to a resolution that will appease everyone and get other people from outside of downtown, business owners, involved in what goes on in downtown. So that's it.
My question is, thank you, so your historical knowledge was definitely very helpful to understanding the financial atmosphere at the did. Is the State House still included in this?
No, it's deleted in the version that Aaron helped.
Just want to confirm. That's my only question. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So I just want to say, I've been a proponent of this from the get-go. Obviously, downtown is a part of the footprint. And I also just want to thank Councilwoman Graves for her leadership. I think all of the amendments that she has set forth here are really great amendments, and it's an opportunity for DID to certainly diversify the board, to make sure that there's further representation. With regards to, I've been on sort of the front end of this. But with regards to the legislation that's being proposed at the General Assembly, what's gonna be the makeup specifically of the members of the board? Or what's being proposed?
I think getting a board member on that includes the council and two other people, whether they be additional council people, other people that work for the city. Right now, we have Public Works Director,
Emily Crowd.
Crowd is on board, so they could, that could be used as a model on who we decide together on who the additional two besides a council person. This is, what would be proposed would be based on the knowledge they gather up to the point in which we propose legislation. So I think that's a moving target as what a DID does, not only in Providence and not only in the current DID footprint. There is a DID in Hope Street, there's a DID on Thayer Street. They function the same way. They have different priorities other than safety, security. They don't have the resources to do a lot more than helping and planning special events and picking up trash, right? We do that, but we do extra, additional. And all DIDs across the country, based on the conditions in which they were established, most of them were established based on enabling legislation 20 or 30 years ago. And what roles they played then versus what roles they play now are radically different, right? And so having that additional input will help us move forward in understanding and maybe creating different priorities than what we had before. Our priorities are radically different than they were pre-COVID. Funding social workers is something we never dreamed of, right? It's helping with security for people coming and going from events, or enabling back to work by having a safer environment up to 8 o'clock so we can get people out who are working later or going into event. Something that wasn't in the original idea, but moving forward, that kind of city council support and either city staff or residents from outside the district will help define what the next step is.
Well, I hate to be parochial here, but I hope that obviously Graves is going to be a member of the board as the other council person who is representing a lot of the footprint of downtown. I would also love consideration to be a part of that. And certainly we'll work together.
I think that would,
That's right.
Yes, please.
I think that would be great once we get the added positions. Right now, we only have 3. And I really think 2 of those need to go to community people. If I was one of them, that'd be the north end. I think we need someone from the south side.
Is that subject to change though with the legislation that's in the draft?
I think board members come and go.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be another vacancy. When we first started talking about this, through this process, there were 2 open seats. As many of you know, the CEO of Crossroads, who was on our board, we replaced her from when we started this conversation with the person, Michelle, who's taking over. So there were 2 up until a few weeks ago, and now there's 1.
Thank you so much.
Just a comment.
Yes.
Just to bring it back.
Please,
I'd just like to thank Aaron and Councilwoman Graves for what they did to, and also Robert and my senator, Josh Miller. That's to get us to where we are. And I know you did have a lot of questions, and I think they were all answered. And if there is no more questions, I'd like to make a motion to approve, unless you would like to make the motion, and I'll second it. Because you were the one who did.
I'll make the motion that we approve.
And I'll second it. I'll yield the floor.
Oh, thank you very much. The motion made by Councilor Graves, seconded by Councilor Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you so much, Ms. Senator Miller. I think I called you Rep Miller, so forgive me.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted this week.
I'm sure you call other names.
Oh,
I don't call other names.
I really appreciate your purpose. Oh, yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
We need to put stuff up with the general.
Aye.
Yeah, I want to.
Sue second.
And why we're here.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a guy. Well, I'll see you Thursday.
And that's how you, do you, that,